Welcome to the Wasteland once again, everyone. Marvel is coming out with their newest movie, Captain America Brave New World. Not sponsored. And because of this, I thought it would be a perfect time to see if you can beat Fallout 4 as Captain America. I downloaded a couple of mods to make me look more like Captain America, which I will get to as the video plays. Also, quick apologies if I sound like shit. I have the flu and am fighting for my life. With all that being said, let's get into the video. Starting out, I wasn't sure which version of Captain America I should go with, but considering it's his movie, I chose to go with Sam. I filled out some paperwork, watched the world end for the 100th time. Ooh, Steve would love this. Never mind. After getting unthawed, I punched my way out of the vault, grabbed the Pip-Boy, and emerged onto the nuclear hellscape. Immediately upon entering the world, I used my high-tech Stark gear, which allowed me to create a brand new costume with only purified water. This first mod is known as Captain Marvel and Captain America Inspired Uniforms by Doright. It's basically just adds some superhero costumes to the game. Also, because it's Sam Wilson version of Captain America, what would be better than a fucking jetpack? This mod is Cross Jetpack by Niero. I will need to work for the chance to use it, but that's okay. It'll just be that more rewarding when I unlock it. Moving on, I grabbed my favorite Grognak comic book, raised my intelligence, and entered a nearby root cellar that is the beginning for the most important mod of the run, The Hunt for the Patriotic Shield by Junnari. The unmarked quest starts when I find a random note in the cellar, starting a scavenger hunt across the wasteland, retracing the steps of the person who wrote the note. I got into a diner fight along the way, and for some reason a blood bug comes out of nowhere to help out the enemy. There I was, beating this lady's ass, and then this fucking mosquito comes in like Mrs. Doubtfire. Help is on the way, dear! I was finally able to finish off the enemy, and I gave the diner owner a present like I'm a cat with a dead mouse. The scavenger hunt brought me to the Cambridge police station, where I found Paladin Dance kicking ghoul ass faster than I could punch it. I agreed to help him out just to get access to the station, where I find a random wooden box with the next clue. I marked the rough location on the map, and on the way I punched the shit out of a Hulk wannabe. I proceeded to run like a bitch a few seconds later when a suicider comes out of nowhere. I came to the spot I believe I would find the next clue. However, all I found was a shit ton of scales, a bunch of ghouls who want to eat my asshole, and got so fucking lost, I caved and looked up where I could find the next clue. To my annoyance, it was in the building across the street, and just sitting in a duffel bag 10 feet from the door. I finally read the last clue, which sends me off to Jamaica Plains. At this point, I knew where the shield would be. The only problem is trying to get to it without becoming ghoul shit. I tried to sneak in by jumping over a wall. Oh shit. I ran for my fucking life, kiting half the wasteland's ghoul population before juking them and climbing to the top of the nearby church. I watched as the ghouls scrambled to get at me, and due to how herky-jerky they are, they started to fall through the holes in the roof. It was funny to watch until I checked out the stairs leading down into the church and saw multiple ghouls just sitting there and waiting to eat my toes. Trapped on all sides, I decided to try something very stupid and jumped over the ghouls' heads, but instead of jumping off the sides, I popped a jet and fell through the hole in the roof. Landing with only a pube hair worth of health left, I grabbed the mayor's ID card from a corpse, escaped from the church, and began to give the local ghouls a good hard fisting, taking out the normal ghouls like normal, but when stronger ones appeared, I took advantage of their stupid AI and attacked from the top of a car to avoid its attacks. I did this multiple times until it seemed like most of the ghouls were gone. I booked it to the secret underground bunker underneath the town hall, dealt with the ghoul in my way, and shut down the security system before unlocking the vault and giving me access to my prize. The shield looked amazing. However, it was fairly weak against these high-level enemies, causing me to die right away. Trying again, I popped a jet and just sprinted my way past the Protectrons to escape with my reward. I loved the way the shield looked with my costume, but I knew I could make it look even better. I made my way into the town hall once again and entered a room with a bunch of very dangerous ghouls on the inside. I lured them out of the room before going back in to grab a full set of combat armor from a corpse in the corner. I tried to escape, and the withering ghoul nearly killed me with its poisonous touch. I was thankfully able to offset the damage and escape with my new gear. I equipped the armor, but something went wrong with my mods and it didn't look quite right. It wasn't time to worry about that stuff when a group of deadly ghouls was bearing down on me. I popped a jet and ran around the three trying to get in a few good hits, all the while trying to keep my health topped off. I was thankfully able to knock off the deadliest ghoul's arms, making it much safer safer until I am finally able to take them out. Free to move on, I took the shield back to Sanctuary to upgrade it to the next modification, Steel. I fixed my mods, turning the combat armor white and making it look like something Captain America would wear. The mod is White Combat Armor by Rammlog. I chose to use it to add some extra damage resistance, as well as a contrast to darker costumes. There is some clipping on the shield, but it didn't bother me much. I went and took the shield for a spin, learning it shared animations with the Power Fist, and even defied physics. I moved on to discover green tech genetics for later, and continued to feed the edge of my shield to unsuspecting raiders. However, I made a mistake and attacked some gunners, who filled me with holes in seconds. I'm so sorry. Ah, fuck. I entered Good Neighbor and grabbed a piece of combat armor to increase my movement speed. With all my gear ready, I immediately paid a visit to Park Street Station and barreled my way through the Triggerman in my way. The shield is a pretty good weapon at this point in the game, roughly being able to take out a Triggerman in just a few hits. The armor also helps a lot with keeping me safe as I kicked the final enemy in the balls. I made my way through the vault, smacking my shield against Triggerman's skulls and even throwing them around like a ragdoll. I saved Dino from Skinny's little black book with a shield to the mouth. I rescued Nick while being covered in shit ton of blood and finished off the rest of the goons. We reached the end of the vault and I didn't wait for Skinny to strike first, and I slammed my shield right into his prominent gut. You'd think he'd have more cushion there, but I guess a big piece of steel to the stomach wouldn't feel all that good. I dealt with his remaining henchmen before taking out Skinny with one final attack. Me and Nick made it out, but before I made it to his agency, I stopped by a local library to pick up the intelligence bobblehead to unlock a perk I will need to unlock the jetpack. I took on the horde of super mutants that decided it would be a perfect time to raid a library. I held off the green wave with the help of the protectrons in the building. I made them regret ever stepping foot inside. How the hell did you get like that? After leaving the library, I made it to Diamond City and was cooking some meat when a strange bug appeared, forcing me into dialogue with Piper, even though my ass was planted on the cook fire. When I exited the cooking station, my camera began to spaz out of nowhere, forcing me to bounce like crazy. I'm not sure how it happened, but I think my camera got stuck on my feet and is clipping through the floor. It even goes through loading screens. Thankfully, reloading a save fixed the issue, and I steered clear of the cooking fire from hell. I tried to save a man from getting shot. Oh, wrong person. I finally made it to Nick's agency, tried to pick a lock, and the mayor must have been very patriotic as I was able to talk him into giving me the house key. This is the strangest man cave in the world. I got Dogmeat to sniff Kellogg out, and for once, I actually followed him on the correct path, after a quick detour. We were attacked by a gang of mole rats, and accidentally woke up Yogi the Bear. He started to kick my ass so bad the universe sent a pack of wild dogs to help me out. They didn't last very long, but I was able to finally kill the bear, only to get betrayed by one of the dogs. I trusted you! Thoroughly betrayed. I fumbled a mine. I killed a couple of ghouls as we continued our way towards Kellogg. I got an awesome free throw. Free throw? I finally made it to Kellogg's hideout. However, instead of going inside and plunging my fist all the way up his Fruit Loops, I found myself fighting a random Protectron and Mr. Gutsy. Even though the latter had a skull over its head, I found the Mr. Gutsy the easier one to fight. After I finished those two off, I surely went back to fight Kellogg. Why am I fighting another fucking bear? I found myself at a plane crash, and for some reason, this elderly woman was just able to absolutely kick my ass. I was finally able to take her out, but only after Dogmeat held her down for me to punch. I searched through the airplane wreckage for a specific piece of clothing, to no avail. I finally returned to Kellogg's hideout and proceeded to bash my way through the robotic guards, getting their oil all over my pristine shield. The chrome domes put up little resistance as I was able to take them out with a couple of hits. I even knocked the arms off of one, and they tried to smack me with one of their nubs. He was able to land a hit, but I didn't take that all too well. I continued my rampage through the robots. Pew pew pew, pew pew pew. I had an epic showdown with one of the synths, and when I finally reached Kellogg, I didn't waste a second before I smashed my shield into his stupid face. I had a little PTSD when he turned invisible, and didn't stop swinging until he popped back into existence, and I immediately stole all of his shit. I downloaded Kellogg's porn sites, and watched the Brotherhood emerge the fog like it was fucking Silent Hill. I took my findings to Nick, who takes me to Dr. Amari to get Kellogg's brain bits analyzed. I crawled into the memory machine. Ooh, is that a first edition? I escaped the memory chair, and before I went after Virgil, Virgil, I decided to start the Silver Shroud questline in order to get the real superhero experience. I started the quest by talking with Kent, and he sends me off to retrieve a costume from the local comic store. The ghouls inside were numerous, but weak as I made my way through the building. I hit one so hard it ended up on a nearby table. However, when I made it to the top floor, a damn glowing one ripped my fucking throat out. The second time through, I was able to get the glowing one stuck in a stagger, whittling its health down until I finally took it out. Fuck yeah! I was able to grab the Silver Shroud outfit and return to Kent to continue the questline. To continue the questline, I needed to listen to the Silver Shroud radio on the main road of Good Neighbor. I finally started the Silver Shroud quest by finding a local serial killer who may or may not be a cannibal. I gave him a good taste of my shield until he stopped moving. I know who you are. I was also tasked with taking out a local drug dealer who was dealing to kids. This is the weirdest shit I have ever taken. Continuing my quest, I got information for my next target from a British Mr. Handy. Got into a scuffle with a really tough super mutant before finally reaching my target in a random apartment building, humiliating her before I took her out. Taking out all these bad guys led me to getting an audience with Hancock. However, he wouldn't let me continue the quest until I changed into the Silver Shroud outfit. He tells me of another gang that needs to be taken down, but on the way I stumbled upon a shit ton of ghouls, including a putrid glowing one who quickly got a nuclear bomb to the face. I found one group of gang members who I beat senseless. I even scared the piss out of the main guy, who ran away like a little bitch. Not wanting to ruin my momentum, I tracked down the second group of gang members and finished them off with little difficulty. Returning to Kent to report my success, I learned that he had been kidnapped by the gang leader Sinjin. Wanting to get my little buddy back, I stormed the gang's compound, making sure each one of them felt the edge of my shield against their faces. When I reached the bottom level of the compound, I didn't waste a second as I rushed Sinjin with a mixture of rage and jet. Sadly, however, no matter how fast I was able to get, Sinjin was always able to shoot Kent dead. I tried multiple times to barrel through this with sheer force, but after my 5th or 6th death, I decided to try diplomacy. Somehow, I was able to pass a red speech check with only like 4 charisma. I didn't mind as they would now stop threatening Kent and point all their weapons at me instead. They made a grave mistake with stealing my little buddy, and I made sure they regretted their transgressions with swift efficiency. I rescued Kent, returned to Hancock to complete the quest, before heading back to Sanctuary to set up a shit ton of water purifiers, even though I don't think I used them at all. Going back to the main quest, along the way to meet with Virgil, I had to run in with some super mutants. The fuck you come from? Ooh, look, a vertibird. Ah, shit. How the hell does this even happen? Oh, fuck. Finally able to continue my walk. Oh, come on. How bad at flying are these idiots? Moving on, I bashed my shield against super mutant chesticles. Nearly got killed by a legendary festering bloatfly, and I fought my way through a horde of feral ghouls. I think this is the first time I actually felt cool while smashing ghoul faces and blocking attacks like a pro. I snuck past Virgil's guard dog, spoke with Virgil himself, and soon found myself at Green Tech Genetics to pull out a courser's butt plug. I beat a shit ton of gunner ass, and for some reason I find them the most satisfying to take down. I pretended to block a missile strike with my shield. It worked sort of, crippled my leg, but that didn't stop me from beating their ass. When I finally made it to the courser, that little bitch started to pull out a stealth boy, and I couldn't have activated VATS faster even if I tried. I was able to knock his gun out of his hand, but when he started making his way toward the nearby fat man, I made sure to put him down quickly. I pulled out his butt plug and was able to save the captured synth.
I'm a superhero. I do this for a living.
I made my way to the railroad, and for once in my life, I didn't destroy these underground idiots. I allowed them to decode the courser chip, which took fucking forever, might I add. I said thank you and promptly got the fuck out of there, never to speak to them again. I returned to Virgil, got the plans, humiliated Parker, and found myself a giant Mirelurk nest. I've gone through this campaign multiple times, and I decided I wanted to take the castle early, and by myself. I don't know how long I spent smashing my shield against crab shells. I can just say that I think I depleted the Mirelurk population by a good bit. The crab massacre didn't stop when I made it inside the castle, and after destroying a shit ton of eggs, I met the queen head on and immediately got it stuck somehow, allowing me to wail on the beast with my shield. It was pretty powerful. I only had to worry about the queen's tartar sauce while I smacked around its flabby sacks. What the fuck am I saying? At some point it got out of the trance and nearly one-shotted me with one slash of its pincers. I quickly took cover in the castle, but I soon returned to the fight, and due to the queen already being low on health, I was able to take it out quickly. quickly. I got the radio tower powered up for later, and then stumbled upon a robot massacre. One robot absolutely melted my HP, and I quickly made my way to the Concord Museum instead, vowing my vengeance on those tin cans. I found that level 1 raiders weren't that difficult. I talked with Preston, and when I left the museum, there was a random Brotherhood patrol walking through. I decided to give them a little prank. The prank got absolutely slaughtered by a knight with a minigun. I told Preston and friends to come to Sanctuary. I upgraded my shield to titanium, and then found myself running away from a pissed off suicider. I ran until I reached Vault 81 and picked up another piece of armor that increased my speed even more, before I made my way to a nearby settlement. I flew at the raiders like Batman, gave them a 1-inch shield strike, and literally just ran through the raider boss just to embarrass him. I had a little fun with the raiders outside the factory before reporting my success to the settlers. After helping out the settlement, I talked Preston into helping me create a signal interceptor. However, before I step onto the teleporter, I finally created my very own jetpack. Sadly, I was unable to fly as that requires higher perks, but I do get an awesome super jump. With all my gear ready, I stood on the teleporter, and with a shock to my stars and stripes, I am transported into the Institute. I downloaded their secrets, found my child, but I was soon distracted by an elderly man who looked a lot like me for some reason. I listened to the old man for once, and even met with all the Institute leaders before booking my ass out of there before they could mind control me or something like that. I gave the information to Sturgis, and soon found myself helping a Mrs. Nanny with her water problem, only to figure out that my jetpack didn't come with fall damage nullifiers, and if I go too high, I will die very quickly. I returned from the dead and made it to the water treatment plant, which is swarming with super mutants. Thankfully, I have history with this place. I got it this time. Fucking tree! Go check that video out, it's pretty good. I immediately rushed down the super mutant with a rocket launcher, and led the suicider to a very unfortunate gunner, who thought it was a perfect time to leave the safety of their vertibird. I found a random gunner with a missile launcher, and I immediately showed him the business end of my shield. I dealt with the remaining super mutants, drained a portion of the plant, and soon got flashbacks to the castle.
He's in the walls. He's in the goddamn wall! Peekaboo!
What is up with Mirelurks ascending to heaven in this game? I barreled my way through more crabs to flip more switches until ultimately reaching the bottom and pulled the last switch. I then turned the nearby hallway into a meat grinder for stupid crustaceans. I was even able to cripple a legendary and then proceeded to end its suffering. When I exited, I was unable to fast travel away due to the nearby gunner vertibird who was circling the area. I did the brave thing and hauled ass down the road until I was out of their range and fast traveled back to the settlement to report my success. Like every Minuteman run, I ran around the world dealing with the Commonwealth's problems, which involved a lot of settlements, rad scorpion stingers up the ass, and getting sucked off by a horde of blood bugs. I have a passionate hatred for these fucking bugs, I swear to God. Another settlement quest had me beating up a suicider covered in raspberry jam, and somehow I survived the subsequent explosion. With that newfound confidence, I was actually able to take down a suicider inside. I took down the super mutant boss to finish off the quest. With that finished, I returned to Preston, and he tells me he wants to clear out the castle. Way ahead of you, buddy. I met Preston and friends at the already cleared out castle, probably confusing the shit out of them. I continued going through settlement quests, taking out some mole rats that ended in a massive explosion. At one point I was fighting through a raider base, and one had a goddamn minigun, all to grab a locket that was stolen from a family. I also had a little fun with a plunger and a corpse. Don't ask. I returned the locket to the family and quickly made my way to another settlement. They wanted me to take out the nearby raider compound, and I decided to fight the group of Enclave soldiers right outside said base. I did better than I thought I would as I pounded my shield against their power armor and destroyed the remaining soldiers. With them taken care of, I bounded across the Dunwich boars to beat raider ass. I also need to learn to look before I leap. Trying again, I made a raider shit a nuke in terror. I continued my way down the mine, slaughtering every raider that got in my way. I smashed my shield against the boss's stupid mohawk before going through the mine's depths and exterminating the ghouls within. I even killed a legendary ghoul with a fat man up its ass. Further in, I found a ghoul taking a dip. I let him live, grabbed Krem's tooth just cause I wanted it, and finished the quest soon after. I found myself taking out a super mutant on a dam when...
Fuck this.
I'm just kidding, I went after the 2 Deathclaws with ruthless efficiency, trying to time their attacks well enough to block them with my shield, even though I'm not sure how I'm able to block a 2-ton lizard. But I'm not complaining. I dealt with the remaining Deathclaws, and then cleared out Sunshine Tidings co-op. After finishing that settlement quest, I got the Old Guns quest from Preston, and I soon found myself at the castle talking to Ronnie Shaw. Me and Ronnie went into the basement of the castle to access the armory, and ran into a giant sentry bot. When I finally took it down, I blocked its explosion with my shield, and was able to break into the castle's armory and grab the artillery schematics. I built the artillery, destroyed a bunch of cars, told Preston to go to the castle, and then fought off an assault run with a big fuck-off laser beam. While I was dealing with another settlement, I stumbled on a raider that was wearing the mod I was looking for earlier. The mod is Stormtrooper Yellow Flight Helmet by Rapkitten. Would a Stormtrooper run be interesting to you guys? Leave it in the comments. The mod just turns the flight helmet white. It just took multiple hours for me to actually find one. At this point, I have been going through the entire game without it. I'll wear it for a little bit, but don't be surprised when my character appears without it on. Moving on, I found a very unfortunate ghoul. Later, I was attacking a raider base and used their own mine to take them out. That didn't stop me from using my shield on the raider boss. At this point, I wasn't sure how to get the Institute angry enough to attack, and since the Institute is evil, I might have went back in and punched someone in the face. I was waiting for the Institute missions to fail, and while I was waiting, I may have accidentally punched Father a bit too hard. That did the trick, however, turning the Institute hostile. Even the scientists were pissed. I was able to escape, and almost immediately when I returned to the castle did the Institute attack. I bounced at them full of joy as I began laying waste to the stupid robots. Thanks to my armor and shield, I was able to tank most of what the synths had to throw at me, making me feel almost unstoppable. There were times when my health started to get a little low, but thanks to the medic perk, my stim packs healed most of my health bar. I was finding another synth when I see the funniest thing I've seen all game. I didn't know the Institute had air swimming technology. There were so many synths, I thought there would be no end to them as wave after wave attacked the castle. Also, while I've been fighting, I sometimes get a bug with VATS where I just hover in the air and get kicked out of VATS a second later. I don't know why this is happening, and if anyone can explain it in the comments, that'd be very helpful. Moving on, I left Finding Nemo alive and bounced onto a courser like a Goomba.
Goomba, fuck you.
Finally, when I took down the last courser, I was able to finish the quest. Now, normally, I would immediately go after the Institute, but there's some annoying little robots that weren't affiliated with the Institute at all. I made my way back to the robot attack site and jumped right through an exploding car to get at them. One blew up out of fear of seeing me coming, and I enjoyed demolishing the rest. I talked with Ada and learned of the mastermind behind these attacks, known as the Mechanist. Now, what kind of superhero would I be if I didn't take down the obvious villain? I grabbed Ada and watched the man get mauled by some feral ghouls as we reached our first destination. We needed to grab some component from a RoboBrain unit, but I got eviscerated by a robot's spinny arm bullshit. I don't know what it is about robots spinning their arms like they're playing a mean game of baseball, but it's very annoying sometimes. I was cautious around the RoboBrain, as for the most part I was able to tank most of the damage. There were a few attacks that hit pretty hard. Also, their Brain Blast attack was just plain annoying. I was able to grab the component and went to Sanctuary to create the robot workbench. I attached the component to Ada and went in search for another piece of technology we would need to find the Mechanist. It didn't go well the first time. Not only did I have to take out the RoboBrain, but I also had to fight off a modified sentry bot that hit like a damn semi-truck. Thankfully, just like semi-trucks, they're fat, slow, and can't squeeze their fat asses in between buildings. Seeing how much damage these things were able to do to me, I needed something to help me get through this DLC and survive. You know what that means. One quick bar fight and an intercepted drug deal later, I have all the help that I'll need to finish off the Mechanist. Back at Sanctuary, I upgraded Ada with Assaultron legs and wicked mantis blades for an assault on a raider base. When I tried to attack a turret, I got stuck in the scaffolding and wasn't able to get out. Thankfully, Mr. Handy came close enough for me to attack it in VATS and teleport to freedom. I fought through the robot cosplayers and made my way inside. I must say, the mantis blades I put on Ada were very nice. At one point, me and Ada took on a hulking piece of junk and twisted metal, and just as it took down Ada, I was able to finish it off. I grabbed a bitchy brain in a jar who had info on the Mechanist's location, and then I found a free rocket launcher just sitting there. Further in the dungeon, I found the boss, who was being protected by an Assaultron with crane hands. It didn't stand much of a chance against me and Ada, and the boss didn't fare much better, as we decimated her in the corner with little difficulty. With this taken care of, I made a body for the brain, and she tells me the location of the Mechanist's lair. I made it inside and saw one of the coolest door opening animations I've seen in a while. All this time I've been putting levels into my intelligence in the hope of gaining the robotics expert perk so I could turn this DLC into a cakewalk. I had around half a level of XP when I entered the facility, and while I went through, I tried to gain as much XP as I could. Most of the robots that I fought were not all that hard to take down. The hardest thing that I fought was a goddamn laser turret that melted through my health like crazy. I don't know why some turrets are just so roided up compared to others. After taking out the turret from hell, I nearly one-shotted a damn tank. Ooh, a legendary. I took out a bunch of ghouls for their sweet XP, and then fought a Robobrain in a strange forge area that I found pretty cool actually. I was maybe a couple kills away from leveling up as I watched the last door animation and confronted the Mechanist. They didn't waste time in sending their robots at me in droves. They hit pretty hard, but I hit even harder. With one final punch I was able to level up, and I immediately took the robotics expert perk. Now the robots are little more than nuisances that I can just shut down, which in turn causes them to self-destruct. I took out a crap ton more as the Mechanist grew angrier and angrier. I watched as their factory cycled through more robots. That didn't stop my massacre of the robots as they slowly got shittier and less built. I jabbed Ada in the ass with a robot stim pack, only for her to stand right next to an exploding robot. With just a few more explosions and a few more junk bots, the factory is shut down, and I confront the Mechanist. I talked them into hearing me out, and without passing a speech check, they took off their helmet to reveal the elusive woman. Would the Mechanist count as a tomboy? Asking the big questions here. She tells me that her robots only delete hostiles. I pulled an Uno reverse card, talked her down, and let the girl live so that she could right her wrongs. Anyway, I made it back to Sanctuary, said goodbye to Ada, and finally focused on the final quest. I talked to Sturgis to get the information and proceeded to smash my way through the raiders in my way. I made sure to pay a visit to the one on top of the building as well before I leaped into the river from the top floor. I found the Institute's back door, punched in the passcode, and promptly got destroyed by the laser turret multiple times. After my third death, I just decided to book my way past them, only to end up getting slapped around by feral ghouls. The glowing one was the most annoying one to deal with, and when I got further in, I got spanked by another laser turret. I was finally able to take down the synths guarding the Institute entrance, and when I got to the teleporter, I relayed Preston in, and with everything ready, me and the Minutemen launched our assault on the Institute. I barreled my way through the waiting synths. I even got to attack a big cluster of them further into the bowels of the base. I used the robotics expert perk to cause the sentry bot to explode. I had some fun fighting robotic gorillas, and really wished I had a ranged weapon at times. The big atrium fight in the middle of the Institute is probably my favorite part of this quest. It's just a big room full of enemies that I get to bash with my shield. What else could you ask for? I'm pretty sure I painted the floor with my own blood while I destroyed synth after synth that came my way. I was taking one synth out when one in black came out of nowhere. Our battle was pretty epic at times. We even got set on fire for one reason or another. Taking out the remaining synths, I put old father to bed, deactivated the Institute lockdown, and took on their last line of defenses. I even got to see a futuristic colonoscopy.
Right up Main Street.
With everything taken care of, I bounded in excitement toward the reactor room. On my way, I found a magic synth who Houdini'd his way out of my grasp. That, however, didn't stop me from destroying him a second later. I made it to the reactor room and got to fight against some wimpy little scientists and advanced black armor synths. Someone detonated a plasma explosive which melted my health in seconds. I was thankfully able to stop my health from falling as I made my way towards the second black armor synth with a missile launcher. Gotcha! Where the hell were you keeping 2 missile launchers? Oh, you poor asshole. I planted the bomb, grabbed the robotic child, and got a little impatient with the people not getting out of my fucking way. I finally got teleported out, and with a press of the button, I blew up the Institute and proved that yes, you can beat Fallout 4 as Captain America. However, before I end the video, I made my way to Sanctuary, and thanks to the levels I earned from the final quest, I am able to finally upgrade my shield to Vibranium and my jetpack to actually allow flight, completing my build and finally becoming the next Captain America. I hope everyone here enjoyed the video, and thank you for anyone who made it this far. Even while I sound like utter shit, I did want to apologize for that once again. I know it probably wasn't pleasant to listen to, but I hope I'll be back to normals next week. With all that being said, thank you all once again. If you have any ideas for videos, don't hesitate to put them in the comments below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that good shit. Love you guys. See ya.